stand this last one, and then we're going to go up there and do it again. Okay? Okay. You're really good, right?
That is the best way to start a Sunday morning. Frederick Buechner writes, "The place God calls you to is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet."
And from Parker Palmer, every journey honestly undertaken stands a chance of taking us toward the place where our deep gladness meets the world's deep need.
Welcome to First Parish Church of Groton. I am Julie Andrews. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am a last-minute substitution for worship leader. So I hope you'll forgive any stumbles. So we are a community seeking to deepen spiritually, to take care of one another, and to be a blessing to the world. Unitarian Universalism is a faith for all. You're welcome here with all your beliefs, identities, abilities, challenges, and gifts, with all of what you've been and all of what you've done. Our congregation includes a wide diversity of beliefs, and we invite you to freely translate the language that you hear today. If you're visiting us for the first time, whether here in person or online, we are so glad that you found us. If you would like more information, email us at welcome@uugroton.org, or if you'd like something included in the minister's daily prayers, please email it to prayers@uu.groton.org, or fill out a prayer card found in each pew.
Hello, everyone. So glad you are here. Good morning, welcome.
Good morning! You're missing some teeth from last time I saw you. All right. Good morning.
Okay. Hi, virtuals.
Hi, everybody. I'm glad you're here, whether you're watching this in the morning, the afternoon, the evening, or whatever.
The first bell is for yourself. The The second is for your loved ones. And the third is for the world. If you are with us remotely, I invite you to get a candle or chalice and light it as we light our common chalice in the meeting house. Kristin Moffat will light the chalice this morning.
Good morning. When my daughter was 4, we brought home a hermit crab. In the ever-changing landscape of small living things that are easily killed in your home, this was number 110. Every parent knows the plea of, I will take care of it, I will feed it, I will walk it. Seeing this was a hermit crab, I felt my responsibility may be slightly less, and the feeding would be something a 4-year-old might be able to manage. We brought all the expected accoutrement that goes along with a crab. A small cage, a sponge, some silly decorative castle. We are Disney-philes at heart. And a large empty shell. Molly picked a crab with a painted shell. It had a hand painted with a little mermaid. I know, a little heavy-handed for a pet store, but whatever. And again, going back to our Disney-phile life, we named him Sebastian. Molly was thrilled and talked to Sebastian, telling him the wild daily ride that was being 4. One night, she saw the empty shell that we had brought and thought it would be a nice addition to his home decor. Feng shui for a crab is of the utmost importance, and she put it in the cage. What happened next for me was amazing and a moment that you rarely see. For my daughter, she will tell you, even now at 18, it was a scarring moment, one that ever changed her. Sebastian moved over to the new shell and felt all around it, tentative at first. And then, in one fluid motion, he hopped out of his aerial festooned shell and into the new condo, one that was bigger, much less flashy. I was amazed and slightly in awe. Molly burst into tears, telling me that she had not given him permission to move and to get back in his painted shell. Sebastian, for all his crab bravado, was unmoved. I took her aside and explained about change and growth and how in order for him to grow and become the tall and strong hermit crab he was to be, hard to say with a straight face, he needed more breathing room. He needed to change. He needed to grow. I pointed out to her that she had baby clothes that she had shed. The metaphor was weak, I know, but we could keep the shell, and just as she had kept some of her things to remember. Her crying was undeterred. She did not want him to change. She liked him the way he was. She was not on board. I told her that sometimes we bring on change and sometimes it is thrust upon us. Sometimes we don't want the change, but that with change is always an opportunity for growth. We have come back to this story in our family many times over the years. Whenever there is change coming, I point out how brave Sebastian was to know he was ready for a change and how his life was fuller for the desire to keep living, but in a slightly larger space. He made space for his change, as we all need to do. I am in the midst of my own change at work. Things that have been the same for a very long time are changing, and much like my daughter, I am entering into a slightly scared and weary. In my rational mind, I know that change brings its own growth, both personal and professional, but it's also scary as hell. But in order for me to grow, I need to step back and look around and figure out what comes next. Sometimes you bring on change, and sometimes it is thrust upon you. I like the challenge for the change we are all undertaking, the excitement that comes from the possibility of growth and rebirth, and the nausea it all brings. Oh, and for hermit crabs that, if asked, cats will tell you are delicious.
Oh, that was a real ending. Shock. All right, breathe. My name is Li Kynvi. My pronouns are they, them, their. I am now your sabbatical minister. Our own Zoe Waters will light the peace candle today. Yay. So come on up whenever you want, Zoe. Every Sunday morning, we light this peace candle to remind us that there is violence in so many places around the globe. Right there, there we go, there's a little taper. Yeah. The war in Ukraine began a year ago this month. There is civil war continuing in Myanmar and Afghanistan and other places. In our country, there is gun violence. So we light this tiny flame, and with it, we say our prayer for peace. May this flame help us to see humanity more clearly and love each other more deeply. I invite you to remain seated while we sing Spirit of Life.
Hello, Amelia. Hi, Olivia. Hi, Zoe. Hi, Cora. Oh, who did you bring with you? Oh, hi, Simon. Hi, Santiago. Hi, Sophia. Oh, how exciting. Okay, let's do our words for gathering. We are Unitarian, Universalist, with minds that think, hearts that love, hands ready to help and hug.
I came up with that one.
Yes, that hugging is so important. Okay, so I want to talk to you about something for just a minute before our story. I am going to go on sabbatical. What? Does anyone know what that giant word means? Sabbatical. Yes, Michael. It is kind of like a vacation. It's a time to rest.
Also our hands can play too.
Yes, it is a time to rest, which probably doesn't sound like that much fun to you, but it's really fun for grown-ups. So I'm going to be here today, obviously, I'm here. I'm going to be here next Sunday, and we'll say a temporary goodbye to each other. Hold on just a moment. And then I'm going to be gone for 13 Sundays.
No!
Yes. So, who's going to tell you stories while I'm away? Who's telling you stories while I'm away? Yes, Lee is going to tell you stories, and Shawn and Cynthia and Emerald will all be here. And I can't wait to hear how you are when I get back. Yes, okay, one thing, Amelia.
Did you notice something about me?
I did notice something about you. You have wonderful pigtails in your hair. Okay, so today's story is about starting something new and how exciting and also a little bit scary that can be, because you might not be sure you belong and you don't know what it'll be like. Today, we have some people joining our congregation for the first time, and that is a new thing. And we're going to tell them how much they belong here. So if they're feeling a little bit scared, they'll know. Okay, so the story is called The Day You Begin by Jacqueline Woodson with pictures by Rafael Lopez. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one will be quite like you. Maybe it will be your skin or your clothes or the curl of your hair. There will be times when no one understands the way words curl from your mouth, the beautiful language of the country you left behind. My name is Rigoberto. We just moved here from Venezuela. And because they don't understand, the classroom will fill with laughter until the teacher quiets everyone.
Rigoberto from Venezuela, your teacher says, so soft and beautiful that your name and your homeland sound like flowers blooming the first bright notes of a song. There will be times when the words don't come. Your own voice, once huge, is smaller when the teacher says, what did you do last summer? Tell the class your story.
We went to France, Chayla says. These shells came from a beach in Maine. A boy named Jonathan holds out a jar filled with tiny shells so fragile they look like they could turn to dust in your hands. My whole family went to India. Their stories go on, and as you stand in the front of that room, you can only remember how the heat waved as it lifted off the curb, and your days spent at home taking care of your little sister, who made you laugh and hugged you hard at nap time. You can only remember the books you kept on reading long after she had fallen asleep.
And back in that room, in that schoolroom, next page. No, it's this page. Oh, cool. Where no one else is quite like you, you'll look down at your own empty hands because you didn't bring anything. And you'll wonder, what good is this when other students were flying and sailing and going somewhere? There will be times when the lunch your mother packed is too strange and too unfamiliar for other people to love like you love it. When even your friend Nadia will wrinkle her nose and say, ew, what's in there anyway? And you'll wonder how she doesn't see the wonderful rice beneath the meat and kimchi. You wonder why she doesn't remember that rice is the most popular food in the whole world.
There will be times when the climbing bars are just too high, the run is too fast and too far, and the game isn't one you can ever really play. I don't want him on our team, people will say. You can watch. Maybe you can have a turn later. There will be times when the world feels like a place that you're standing all the way outside of, and all that stands beside you is your own brave self, steady as steel and ready, even though you don't know yet what you're ready for.
There'll be times when you walk into a room and no one is quite like you. Until the day you begin to share your stories. My name is Angelina, and I spent my whole summer with my sister. You tell the class. Your voice is stronger than it was a minute ago. We were reading books and telling stories.
Out.
And even though we were right on our block, it was like we got to go everywhere. Your name is like my sister's, Rigoberto says. Her name is Angelina, too. And all at once, in the room where no one else is quite like you, the world opens itself up a little wider to make some space for you.
This is the day you begin. To find the places inside your laughter and your lunches, your books, your travel, and your stories, where every new friend has something a little like you and something else so fabulously not quite like you at all. The end.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. So if you want to stay up front so you can see better, the choir is going to sing now. Beautiful, thank you. That is the open choir. They formed this morning at 9 a.m. Yes. Yes. Did you like the book I just did? Yeah. Okay, so now we have the very big joy of welcoming new members into our congregation. So I'm going to invite the children to go back to their grown-ups. Each time we welcome new members into this congregation is so special. It means that we have become more complete, more fully who we are and who we are meant to be. We were not whole without the particular people who will join us today, and that is true for each one of you who walks through these doors. Our congregation is made stronger and more whole by each person who decides to join us as a member and to commit themselves to this community in this meaningful and heartfelt way. So there are brief introductions to the new members in your order of service, and I just want to note that Denise Van Doren is not here because she is recovering from surgery, and Roger Schaller hoped to be out of the hospital in time to be here this morning, but he is not. So we'll keep praying for them. Will you turn the mic down just a little bit? Thank you. So I'd like to ask Allison Chase and Kristin Moffat from the Board of Trustees and the members of the welcoming team to come up to help with the new member ceremony. So I will read the names of the new members and ask you to come to the front and to make a line next to Kristin and Allison. These are the new members we are welcoming this morning. Karen Ankus, Carolyn Bonnier, Karen Reduda, and Beth Sudemeyer.
There's a bit of
Very
static coming
staticky.
We'll try the other one.
Trying again. We are so glad you have decided to become members. As you know, the act of membership is very simple, adding your name to the book of members. It is also an act that has deep meaning. In joining this church, you are joining all those who have sustained and led this congregation since it was gathered in the year 1655. But you don't just join this long history, you join our future too. As members, you now have the right and the responsibility to help shape what this congregation becomes. So I ask you now, as you join us in membership, will you live out the mission of this church, which is to deepen spiritually, take care of one another, and to be a blessing to the world? If so, please answer, I will.
Will the congregation please stand as able? Will you welcome these new members with open hearts and open minds? Will you receive with gratitude the gifts they bring to this congregation and the changes they will also bring? Will you become their community, their people, and offer them support in both times of joy and in times of sorrow? If so, please say, I will.
I will.
Thank you. Please be seated. I speak on behalf of the entire congregation when I say that we welcome you to membership with such joy. I invite you to add your name to the membership book as able and receive flowers from the Welcoming All Committee, which are the symbol of life and beauty. Please remain at the front until everyone has added their name.
So while the new members are signing the membership book, let's sing together hymn number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. You want to stand? Stand if you want to. Stand. Yes, stand. Stand.
Rejoice and come in.
In our tradition, these new members are not fully welcomed until each one of you welcomes them. So after the service, I would ask the new members to come downstairs during the postlude music and stand with Lee and myself so that everybody can greet you and welcome you on their way to coffee. But for now, let's just say together, welcome.
Welcome.
And we'll sing the children and youth and volunteers to religious education. The words are in your order of
Julian of Norwich was an English mystic and anchoress. So she was a Christian monastic who was separated from society. She was born in 1343, and in her 30s, she became deathly ill. And she had what we might now call a near-death experience. She had, in that time, 16 visions. And she survived and wrote them down. And the text is called Revelations of Divine Love. It is the earliest surviving example of a book known to have been written by a woman. In the 13th of these 16 revelations, she asks this big theodicy question. Why is there evil? Why is there suffering? And she gets this tender, simple answer, completely absent of blame. Suffering is necessary, but all shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well. And that is our sabbatical theme. And because we have a sabbatical theme, we need a sabbatical theme song. And because I'm me. So this song was written by Unitarian Universalist minister Reverend Meg Barnhouse. And in your insert, it has the lyric as Meg originally wrote it, but actually with her permission, having called her last night, and with the help of Morningstar, who's a member of our community here, I got the guts to ask her to be able to sing the original Julian of Norwich words, all shall be well. She wrote all will be well, but Meg said, sure, go for it. So your future orders of service with this song will say shall. And whatever you sing today is what comes out of your mouth. But when you get to the chorus, you don't actually need to look down at those words because you're going to know them already. Okay? So I'm going to sing this song. The choir, this presto choir, I forget what we call it, open choir, open presto choir, will join. And for today, just see if you can get your voice around the chorus. I said, Julian, do you not know about sorrow? And Julian, do you not know about pain? She said, all shall be well, all shall be well, all manner of things shall be well. I said, Julian, do you not know about cruelty? I said, Julian, it's too much, it brought me to my knees. She said, all shall be well, said, I know it's too much. It brought me to my knees, where I heard, all shall be well, all shall be well, all manner of things shall be well. I said, Julian, you are holy, you are holding my hand. I said, Julian, you are holy, you are holding my hand. She said, dear one, do you not know about tenderness? And dear one, do you not know there's love that never ends? And so all shall be well, all shall be well, all manner of things shall be well. She said, all shall be well, all shall be well, all manner of things shall be well. Will you pray with me? In the name of all that calls us forth into being, Spirit of many names, many understandings, and one embracing love. For the lands, the airs, the water, the plants, fire and ice that bathe this sacred planet. For the great potential among all life, including our human life. For our beautiful interconnectedness, we gather in and across sacred time and space. With all that invests our lives with depth, with possibility, with struggle, with loss, with meaning and joy. We bring our fears and anxieties, our hopes, our successes. On this beautiful day that brings beloved new members, brings all of us together farther into the holy dance and spacious grace of this gathered community. We are grateful for all that lives between us as we hold and create sacred space together. And we are so grateful to be welcoming our new members, our newest members. Indeed, we can feel how we were not whole until each of us arrived here. The deep cold of this weekend reminds us to pull back to basics. Stay warm enough. Check on each other. Maybe we can learn from the tiny birds who bear this deep cold because they dare to let the cold air in. They fluff up their feathers. They let the biting cold in and then they hold it close, warming it with their teeny bodies until it becomes insulation. Maybe we can hold our sadness and our grief close to us, transform them from something that could deeply harm us into something we infuse with our own being, allowing the pain, like the warmed air between feathers of a bird, to become the thing that allows us to survive. We hold in prayer many of our people who are recovering from recent surgeries: Denise, Lisa, Leah, Becky, Pat, and Roger. We hold Cindy P. in prayer as her leg heals. We pray for Diane W., Doris, and others facing health challenges. We send love to all who grieve. Lois, Owen, and Donnie, and others who mourn Mimi's death. Gail and others who grieve for Steve. The Clancy family of Duxbury. The loved ones of Mr. Tyree Nichols. And we remember Dale Martin on the 2nd anniversary of her death today. May we feel, even in the icy darkness, even for a moment, how sacred our sadness is. How we can feel it and not be consumed, and maybe even saved by it. How a tiny brave bird opens to the life-threatening cold, holding it close, their valiant little beating heart generating the warmth that transforms their nemesis into their sentinel. May this gracious community hold each of us as we celebrate, as we heal, as we fall apart, and as we grow. Enter for a moment into the spacious silence.
Our generosity sustains this congregation and allows us to deepen spiritually, to take care of each other, and to be a blessing to this world. We can't make church without all of us. There are 2 QR codes on the back page of your order of service. One is to donate through PayPal, and the other is to donate through Venmo. We're very modern here. The morning offering will now be given and gratefully received.
So next Sunday will be my last Sunday before sabbatical. I will be gone for 13 Sundays and then I will be back. As is our way, next Sunday we'll be blessing everything and everyone We'll also be making Valentines to share around town. So I wanted to take a little time today to tell you about my hopes for the next 3 months. 16 years ago, back when I was young, I stood right here before I went on my first sabbatical and told you what I would be doing with the gift of time that you had given me. Our theme for that first sabbatical was water, and we really worked that metaphor. It was all about thirst and drinking deep and finding well springs. And I told you then that my sabbatical plans sounded both overly complicated and underly interesting. And so I recommended that, I decided that I was going to tell people that I was going fishing, and I recommended that you tell people the same thing. Our minister has gone fishing. We don't know exactly what she is fishing for. She isn't either. But she'll probably catch something. It was actually a good description of what I did on that first sabbatical. I sat still and I remembered how to pray, casting out lines into still waters. I cooked a lot. I tried to learn how to make a good loaf of bread. I read a lot of books. I wrote some things down. And I spent a lot of time with my children, who were then 4 years old. And then I came back and I told you about how I had learned to see beneath the surface of the water, how I had learned to see better that the world shines with sacredness. And it was a gift that has stayed with me. And then 8 years ago, I did the same thing. I stood here and I thanked you for the incredible gift of time you had given me. The theme for that second sabbatical was spiritual pilgrimage. Reverend Karen Johnston had become our sabbatical minister at the end of her 2-year internship, and we gave everyone shells, which is the symbol of pilgrimage for those who walk the Camino de Santiago, the ancient pilgrimage route to Santiago de Compostela in northern Spain. I thought I was going to do community service and social justice work on that second sabbatical. I had planned to volunteer with the United Teen Equity Center, or UTEC in Lowell, an organization that does beautiful work with formerly gang-involved youth. I had not quite reckoned with the toll that a recent divorce and being a single parent half the week to 2 nearly 13-year-olds and serving as your minister and moving 3 times in 6 months had taken on me. I was more tired than I knew. And the pilgrimage I needed and ultimately took was much more internal than the one I had planned. It became a pilgrimage into myself, into the sorrow and the joy of the new life I was creating. And that was another gift that stayed with me. I said that day, we know the ending of all of our pilgrimages on this small planet, but that is all we know. All of the other destinations are surprises. Things happen to us along the way and they change us. People join us and people leave us and they change us. Sorrow and illness and loss happen and that changes us too. The pilgrimage is in choosing transformation, in choosing to let ourselves be changed over and over again. A lot has happened in the 8 years since my last sabbatical. My children will be an astounding 20 years old in June. Alan and I got married here almost 5 years ago in a tiny little wedding a few of you attended. For those of you who are not here yet, there were 400 of us, and you were invited to that wedding, we just didn't know you yet. And then, of course, there was the pandemic. Shawn was on sabbatical when the pandemic began in March 2020, and he came back early because he knew we needed him. We discovered Zoom and YouTube and virtual worship and outside church and hybrid meetings, and I couldn't have imagined any of it. Fortunately, Li found us and helped me through all of it. The COVID years were hard. They were hard on children and teenagers and families. They were hard on elders. Many of you lost parents. Some of you became sick. Some of you exhausted yourselves working on the front lines in hospitals and nursing homes and grocery stores. But as a congregation, we managed to thrive. We got through it with creativity and humor and a lot of hard work and learning new things fast and practicing the deep art of flexibility. In the past 8 years, we have lost so many beloved members of this congregation, and new people have come, and they have become beloved too. There have been a lot of staff changes, especially for a place where the staff tend to stay a long time. Cynthia Premru became our office administrator, as we call her. Cynthia Williams became our religious educator, and now Emerald Carter has joined us as our youth ministries coordinator. I miss each one who has gone. Diane Webster, Liz Davis Chafin, and Marissa Benson. And they leave a space in our community that is in their particular shape, and also we become more whole for each person who joins us. One of the very important things a minister does is to tell the congregation the story of who you are. We talked about this last Sunday. I believe they have learned this lesson when they gave us the gift of naming the spacious grace they have found here. And they talked about how you need to own that grace as yours, to claim it, and to practice it in order to keep it alive and well and growing. So I trust, and I also expect, that while I am away, you will continue to practice that spacious grace toward your staff, your sabbatical committee, your board of trustees, and toward one another. And for the third time, I get to stand here and tell you how incredibly grateful I am for this gift of time. I know what a privilege it is, and it is something that so few people are given. I am 8 years older and wiser now, so I have not planned too much. Mostly I want to rest. I want to reconnect with family and old friends I have neglected. I want to read and to walk. Alan and I will walk in Northern California and Seattle, and for the last month of the sabbatical, we will walk in Paris. I will keep relearning French and practicing the violin. I'm still working on that 5th note. It's the low E, so it's the first time I have to press down a string, and it is so hard. Holding the violin, pressing down that one thin string, and only that one string, and managing the bow all at the same time is completely beyond my current capabilities. My violin teacher, who's incredibly zen, of course, he tells me encountering obstacles does not mean we aren't learning. And I believe it. So I'm going to keep learning. Now, beyond how to play the low E, I don't know what lessons I will learn this time. I hope I will learn something, discover something about this final third of life I am entering. I will try to pay attention so I can tell you when I return. It is always hard for me to leave, as grateful as I am to be able to go. There's so much here. Plans and programs and holidays and grief and joy. You will have the chance to try some new things, to sing some new songs, to create some new stories, and I can't wait to hear them. I will come back when it is warm and green, and hopefully the plywood will already be off the sanctuary windows. I will miss you while I am away. Sunday mornings on sabbatical are very strange. But again, I am older and wiser now, so instead of being lonely at home, I'll be visiting other Unitarian Universalist churches on Sunday mornings and seeing and feeling and hearing how they worship together. I'll be on a treasure hunt to see what I can bring home to you. I will pray for you every morning, as I always have. And I ask that you hold me and my family in your hearts. I will pray, as I always do, for you to be well, each one of you and all of you together. For you to know that you are held in tenderness and in the love that does not end. All shall be well. All shall be well. All manner of things shall be well. So will you rise as able, and we'll sing together our closing hymn, Rewild My Soul. know we are connected, woven together by strong and sturdy threads of love. Go in peace.
Be a blessing.